we recording? We're recording.
Just one. It's working.
Yeah, it's working. Great. Guys, thanks again for coming to GeniusDen. We just finished Startup Week, which was fantastic. And if you look to your left and right, behind and in front of you, and don't see a ton of people, it's because we're all really tired of being at Startup Week and seeing these kinds of lectures. So Hunter, I'm very sorry that we have this on record. So we'll be transcribing it. You guys can get copies of the handouts online if you want to share it with folks. And just a quick introduction of GeniusDen and Hunter. GeniusDen is a business incubator, which is kind of like a co-working space you pay rent for. But on top of that, we've got co-working events and incubator space, business issue solving sessions, startup therapy, learning workshops, and our events that we do with folks like Hunter, who is a subject matter expert, award-winning on human resources. I met him in 2013, I believe we figured out, with Vistage. Hunter's core competency is taking companies that are in the $10, $20 million a year range to, or how many employees?
Yeah, it's more employees. You
get number of employees.
Yeah, you start to get 15, 50, it's too late. 150, you're out of control.
Okay, so that's what he's going to talk a little bit about, keeping a lid on it so that your teams are doing what teams are supposed to do instead of what mobs don't do or do badly. So with this, am I introduced enough?
Good. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So
I want a sheet.
You want a sheet?
So that I know what you're doing. Yeah.
So Hunter's going to talk with us for about an hour. We'll slip into Q&A, so 45, 50 minutes. Part of it's interactive. Other instances you can cover what are common questions, because to some extent we may not know what we don't know. And then we'll cover those.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Good.
And if you would like to like and rate GeniusDen on Google and on Facebook, that helps, and Twitter, it helps us a lot with social rankings, media rankings, especially on Google for some reason, Google Places. So thanks again. Thanks for coming over to GeniusDen.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having us. HR is one of those topics that, especially startups or managers, really management at any level, just doesn't want to deal with. I was once introduced, here's Hunter Lott, he's going to talk human remains. One guy said, here's Hunter Lott, he's going to talk sales prevention, and everybody in the group knew it was HR. We were talking a little bit about, the people, and I've had a lot of business owners, this would be great without the people. And it's an old line, but you'll be surprised as you get into this, whether you're managing 5 people getting started, 10 people, 60 people or more, how much time it takes just in dealing with the people. People are different. They come to work with different backgrounds, different expectations of work. We've got 4 generations now at work, coming on 5. That's pretty much the first time we've had that since the old agriculture economy. You got to remember, when I started out, it was mandatory retirement was 65. And so my first job was an underwriter at a big insurance company. And the guy next to me had been there 28 years. Nice guy. And I said, Harold, what's the secret to success? And he said, hide. Hide? Yeah. Don't get at the top or the bottom of any list. He said, a couple of years from now, I'm going to retire. This is a region of about 400 employees, and most of the management will have no idea who I am. That's the secret to success. And I remember thinking, I'm not good at hiding. I'm not going to be here long. And I got promoted a couple of times into management, then left to do some sales, and then kind of fell into what became an HR kind of career, helping managers really be the best they can be in terms of managing people. So we'll take some time, kind of talk what's at stake. Everybody got kind of a risk versus reward. I'm going to have you go through that just briefly and just kind of check off in your head or on paper, safe versus risky. HR is so hard if you're linear, because we live in the gray area. We love the gray area. That's the fun part for HR. Most decision makers, give it to me straight, what's the right answer? I said, no, it doesn't work that way. This is kind of like driving down the interstate. You see the speed limit sign, it says 65. Some people drive 40, some people drive 80, and that's fine. My job in HR is to help the decision maker. Tell him or her where the 65 is. Here's the risk versus reward. You make the call. A lot of HR people are into compliance. Oh, you got to do this. You got to always drive 65. Well, it's not going to happen. Oh, it's just not real. But I want to know what's at stake. Some of the crazy lawsuits, and we can certainly talk about that, but it doesn't come down to legal. I went back to school and got a master's degree in employment law. And during the administrative law class, a professor threw up this slide. It showed 100,000 people in Washington, D.C. Codifying the law, putting it all together, trying to make sense of the laws that are passed. 100,000 people, full-time job, every day. And I said to the professor, why are we then in HR so crazed with compliance? You can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. There's no way we can keep up, much less a small growing business owner. And we had a discussion. Ultimately, it came down to, well, we should just try. Good news, it's not that hard to separate ourselves. This is not so much complicated as it is hard work. And the legal stuff, you just look at some of these cases, and you realize it's not about the rules and regulations. It's more about better business decision making. This was actually here in Dallas. It was bring your child to work day. What could go wrong? Mom brought 15-year-old daughter. CEO hits on 15-year-old. Mom complains, CEO fires mom. Wow. Headline, jury awards $499,000 for same-sex harassment. This company was great. I bet you never figured how much lost productivity there was in urination. What? That's right. All the people that take breaks, ever calculated how much time that takes? This company says, okay, that's it. You're going to have to clock out to pee. If you want to take a break, you got to clock out. Now, any of us in HR would have been going, wait a minute, this isn't going to play well on TMZ. This isn't going to play well on 60 Minutes. Plus, there's all kinds of legal problems here. Do you really want to? Yes. They've got to decide their bladder or their paycheck. So, of course, the first day, probably, one guy complained, Department of Labor got a hold of it and said this is violating all kinds of regulations. Let's go to court. They go to court. The judge just yells at them. The award was $1.75 million. I doubt they saved that much money. They're going to appeal it again. I mean, you just look at these and you go, oh my gosh. Well, this is not so much legal as it is decision making. So we'll talk various issues. As you have questions, comments, if there's some HR issue keeping you up at night as a manager, as a decision maker, make sure you let that know. We're not going to save all the questions till the end necessarily. You got a question, we can deal with it, and we can deal with it right away. But we'll use as kind of a framework these 6 questions. So take a minute, go through the 6 questions and check them off. Safe or risky? Safe or risky? Then we'll talk about it. Did you get a sheet? Joe, where are the rest of those sheets? Here we go. Oh, up there.
Are they all one answer or another?
No, people accuse me of that, saying these are trick questions.
I have 2 employees in the state of Texas that have been in business less than a year. All of these are completely safe for me. I can fire anyone for any reason.
Texas is an at-will state, and you know what that means. The employees can sue at will.
Yes, sure.
So you'd have to prove that you didn't use age, sex, race, religion, national origin, or disability.
That's why I only hire white men.
No! see, and that's, realize the list, everybody's on it. I mean, I've had people do this to me, go, I'm not on that list, age, sex, race, religion, national origin, disability. I'm a white guy. I said, that still counts. We had a company in Georgia that fired all the Americans. Just fire all the Americans. They're terrible workers. I don't like the white people, the black people, or even the legal Hispanics. I want the illegal. And if I only fire Americans, Americans aren't on the list. And of course, the white guys and the black guys sued and got a nice little check. Interesting. Every state in the country is at will. I am state of Arizona, California. Every state in the country is at will except Montana. So the burden of proof, and we'll talk about that now, your numbers do help you. You're an employer in this state, I think it's 15 in Texas, 15 employees. So you're under that threshold. They'd have to take you to court. The chances that happening are real, real slim. They can't afford an attorney. And most of the attorneys won't take it. There is one topic on here the attorneys will take no matter what. It's pretty close. Now, take another minute with your neighbors and compare your answers. I'll give you a hint. There are 2 risky statements. 2 risky.
How risky is having a mansion is on offer? And number 6.
They play the game differently. Yes.
How many times it's happened?
My perspective is that all of them.
Surprise.
Yeah. So you got the royal document. It's like
Everybody's making fun.
so
You get it right, you get a free cookie.
A free cookie if you get it right. See what Tim's got. Ooh, so close. You got one of them. That's the big one. Yep. You're non-union? Non-government? How many employees do you have?
we have 8. We're going to take on 100 in a year.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
How many employees he has?
He's got 8 going on 100.
You know how big he is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they'll convert them.
Yeah. A lot of merger acquisition, buying those kind of things. That all of a sudden you go from here to here. 15 is kind of the threshold at the federal government, EEOC, 15 to 20. They're the people that monitor the legal side. Then 50, healthcare kicks in, the ACA, family medical leave, that all kind of blows up. So that's a threshold where you need full-time HR just watching this stuff so you can focus on growing your business. And then 150, you can Google Rule 150. Military, civilizations, communities. After about 150, people don't work well together. They need strong leadership. Up to 150, you might be able.
Will they be working across the country?
Yeah, spread all out,
Yeah.
which makes, there's some challenges there then in terms of accountability and making sure everybody's on the same page in results, but less of this interaction. All right, let's talk about these. Number 1, firing bad employees regardless of age, sex, race, religion, national origin, disability. How many said safe? It is safe. Watch out for what's called an implied contract. So if I let Joe come in late every day for a year and a half, I've established an implied contract that him coming in late is okay. A lot of people say, well, don't put anything in writing, don't have a handbook, don't do any of that stuff because you can't be held accountable. Well, the attorneys will tell us, no, you can be accountable based on the commitments you make, whatever you tell your employees, and certainly your past practice. Now, I can break the past practice. Joe, you got to start going to work on time. And Joe says, this is a deal I made with your dad. I realize that, but Dad's gone. tell you what, we'll give you the rest of the month of April. Take a couple weeks, get your personal life together, whatever it is. But as of May 1st, we're going to hold you accountable to the same tardiness standard as anybody else. So as you kind of evolve, you go from 8 to 100, or you go remote, or whatever it is, you can make the changes you need to make. Communicate the expectations, then hold them accountable. People get weird around the list. Already came up. Age, sex, race, religion, national origin, disability. Texas is an at-will state. Got the right to fire at will. They have the right to sue at will. The burden of proof's on us. Prove you didn't use the list to make a hiring or firing decision. This is why HR will be just drilling down on documentation, documentation, documentation. Texas Workforce Commission, the federal government, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the states, burden of proof's on us. Document. Did you give him or her a reasonable chance to save their job, and can you prove it? EEOC last year dropped 65% of everything that came in. All the crazy discrimination claims, they looked at it, dropped it, dropped it, dropped it. They're looking for the crazies. One store, maternity store. They sell maternity clothes. Woman came in obviously pregnant, and they said, we're not going to hire you because you're pregnant. You sell maternity clothes. We don't want pregnant women. Ever been around a pregnant woman? They're crazy people. After you stabilize, then we'll hire you. She got them for about $375,000. Rightfully so. That's what the state's EEOC, that's kind of what they're looking for, are the crazies. They tend to get a lot of publicity, the headlines. Like I said, 65% of everything that went to the federal government just got dropped. EEOC last year took less than 200 cases to court. They're looking for the crazies. Not that hard. We want to sit down and have a conversation. You're not doing your job. We need to talk about you're not doing your job. And informal at first. I'm not going to go write things down. Gotcha. Not going to help. Informal conversations. And then if that works, that's great. If it doesn't work, then we have more serious. And then eventually I'm going, here's final. You got 6 weeks. There's a performance improvement plan. We'll meet every week for the 6 weeks. But as of this date, if you haven't lived up to these expectations, you've chosen to leave. Shifts the burden to the employee where it belongs. This is something we should be good at, not comfortable with. Ever been around somebody, and maybe you were there, and took a long time, finally pulled the trigger, finally said you're out. And employees came up and said, what took you so long? Other times you've been around employees who weren't pulling their weight. And finally they were gone. And you said, thank you, there's some leadership there. A players, the best people, want to be around other good people. And sometimes it's just not a good match. So the termination is something that I'm not comfortable with, but something we got to be good at.
Question.
Sure.
So with precedent set for employees,
Okay.
does that apply only to the individual employee, or would, for example, Joe be able to say, no, you've always let Michael be late, I assumed that was okay?
Yes, good question. What about the precedent set here? You always let Michael be, and then Joe, and then if he can be late, so can I. Consistency is overrated as a leadership tool. Consistency is easy. Everyone's treated the same. Everyone. Well, try that with your customers. I got good customers, bad customers. I treat them exactly the same. You won't last long. I will treat employees differently based on job description, length of service, based on their performance. My best people get the benefit of the doubt. You're a great employee, you want to work at home for a couple days to do this, no problem. You, I have no idea if you're doing any work or not. And I watch you every day. That's discrimination. Yes, it is. You're crummy, she's great. You can't do that. Sure I can. HR, a lot of times they'll tell you, treat everyone the same, you won't get sued, which is true. But your chances of getting sued are pretty slim. The attorneys will say, treat everyone the same. You won't get sued, which is true, but you don't get a chance with great employees to make the exception. That's a leadership issue. You cannot abdicate your responsibility to lead to a policy. So use the consistency where it works. Use the precedent where it works for you. But there'll be times you'll make exceptions. It's the right thing to do. Just the outsider, judges, juries, all these different agencies are going to look at the list. Did you make the decision, the exception, based on their age, or their sex, or their race, religion, national origin, disability? That's where they're going to push. So once you cross that line, that's where the outsider gets interested. The quarterback makes more money than the offensive line, which is kind of weird, because if the offensive line guy falls down, the quarterback's dead. Even stranger is the left tackle makes $1 million more than the right tackle. And so the right tackle's upset. This isn't fair. It's not supposed to be fair. Sorry, guy, you're not as good as the left tackle. And why is the left tackle so important? Because our quarterback's right-handed. That's the blind side. You either get good enough to be the left tackle or go work for a team that has a left-handed quarterback. Then you get paid $1 million. It's not supposed to be fair. So use the consistency, use the precedent where it works for you. But then when it doesn't, I'll give you a great example. Tim, here's your $5,000 bonus. Don't tell. We wouldn't want anyone to know you're an exemplary employee. See Joe? Joe's not too bright. But he's a happy guy. See, he's smiling back there. That's what we want. Happy, stupid. Happy, stupid. That's low maintenance, and then I don't have to deal with them. I hate people. So don't tell. Oh my gosh. First, you send a message, you don't know the difference between your great employees and your so-so. Second, it's against the law. I grew up in business. We do not discuss salaries at this place of work. That was against the law back then, but now they've started to enforce it. I have a right to my salary. I have a right to my wages. I can tell anyone at any time. You'll find millennials put it on their Facebook page. I have owners tell stories about they sit around at lunch and swap electronic pay stubs. And they go nuts. And I said, why? Isn't Tim a great employee? Yeah. And isn't Joe crummy? Yeah. Well, then why don't you just have the conversation? No, I don't want to talk to him. Because if Joe finds out, then I have to talk to him, and I hate people. So, I love this enforcement, because it's going to force us to get better at our jobs. Well, this is one of the reasons women's pay are artificially low, is we kept this stuff a secret. But with that out...
So it's okay to pay differently?
What? Yeah, it is okay. I remember the list. I can't pay women less than men for the same job, then I'm in trouble. Can't pay white people less than the black people for the same job, then I'm in trouble. When I cross that line with the list, that's where the outsider gets interested. But if I can justify the difference based on length of service, productivity, location, if somebody brings in a book of business, I'll start them at a higher rate of pay or more vacation than someone else. And then I'll have the conversation. You'll come up to me and you'll say, I just found out Tim got a big bonus. And I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. I don't have to. I don't have to tell everybody's salary. I say, well, how does that affect you, Joe? Well, it's not fair. Oh, it's eminently fair. Joe, you're crummy. You're paid crummy. It's perfect. You know you're crummy. Well, you're on a performance improvement plan. And you're right, your pay's terrible. I don't know how you live in the crummy pay we get. Did you want to make more money? Well, yeah. Well, if you do what Tim does, performance, behavior, we'll pay you what Tim makes. But until that time, shut up and get back to work. You can't talk to people that way. Crummy people I can. I don't talk to good people that way. Interesting. Equal opportunity doesn't mean equal treatment. Catch that? Equal opportunity doesn't mean equal treatment. Be consistent where it works for you, but make exceptions for extraordinary people, extraordinary circumstances. It's when you cross over on the list, age, sex, race, religion, national origin, disability, and some areas expand the list. When you cross over on that, that's when you start to get in trouble.
I have a kind of question. You sort of answered, but there's certain scenarios, and there's Hooters is an exception. They say their employees are models. But let's say there's a scenario wherein, for example, a salesperson,
Okay.
agency salesperson, where I know a woman is just guaranteed to be better.
Because,
Because of the fact that she's a woman, and historically I have trend data, several companies I've worked for, and I'm preferential towards hiring women.
okay,
I can justify that with a business reason. Now, I would prefer not to justify that, so you will not see my face in this video, though some of you will recognize my voice.
this is, okay,
But if there's a scenario wherein I'm going to hire preferentially women because I know young, attractive women do well in this sort of role,
yeah, I got to be careful how far I go. You're right. No, nobody can tell you not to do that. How far you go with that's kind of up to you. I'd love, if from an HR perspective, I'd love a blend. Hey, women are going to sell better because the people there are guys that can't control themselves. So this woman will sell 10 times more than any guy in the same job. Okay, I get that. But you get carried away with that, then you end up with a workforce of just one. In terms of, I got all women. And that's like I said, the outsider will start to get interested when you get what they technically underutilized in a protected class. I want a little bit of blend of everything the best I can. But there may be times that I pull that trigger. And that's fine as long as you know how the outsider is going to look at that. Hooters, fascinating. This was probably mid-90s, went to the federal government and said, Hooters only hires these women, and it's discrimination. And so EEOC started to process this. Hooters, very clever. If you go back and you can see the paper, USA Today, full-page ad, and they dressed up this big ugly guy in the outfit. and very clever PR, and they said, what's wrong with this picture? The federal government is trying to force Hooters to hire men to be Hooters girls, jeopardizing the jobs of 13,000 female. Washington, get a grip. And it was pretty quickly dropped. Picked up later, and somebody have to check on all the details, because I'm thinking back, you brought it up. It's a civil case. And the attorney got up there and basically said, we don't sell food. We don't have food. I mean, we have food. Have you ever eaten at Hooters? No, our food sucks. We're about sex. That's what we do. We don't sell food. We sell sex. We sell sex. We sell sex. And the jury's going, sex. Yeah, okay. And I think a place of vicarious, sexual recreation, I think was the term the attorney came up with. Very clever. That's why you don't want to go to court. You never know what's going to happen. And they go, oh, yeah, it's not about the food, it's about the sex. Well, the only way then that they can be in business is if they have the naked women. So in essence, they sold themselves as a strip joint. It's a strip joint. Models, strip joint. Now they've kind of evolved and said, oh, it has nothing to do with that. That's sterile our stuff. And you see Tilted Kill. You see other places like that. And they've backed it up as a business necessity. I got to be careful how far I go with that. Yeah. And then how to think. Think 60 minutes. Would you want to go on 60 minutes and defend this action? Would you want to go on TMZ and defend your decision? They're not always right, but they're everywhere.
So, the same principle applied to gender, applied to race. You might know what I'm talking about when I say Milton Friedman, when he talked about, say, I'm going to paraphrase here, you know why, a group of white people are uncomfortable having a waiter who is African American. Not because they're racist, but because they're uncomfortable being served by an African American waiter.
Would you want to go on 60 Minutes and defend that as a business decision?
It would be hard.
Impossible.
It might be a reasonable business decision.
And good for Milton and good for the economics, but no, you won't sell it. And that's the whole reason we have the protected classes. Say, I'm not comfortable around black people. I'm not comfortable about women. I hate women in sports. I don't know why they have them on there. So we just keep them out. And the law stepped in and said, no, that's not who we are as a country. So we're not going to go there. So as much sense as you try to make economically out of it, you cross that line, you're going to have a tough time selling it.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'd have to sell it as a business necessity. That's what Hooters did. And it hasn't come up again. It'd be fascinating if it came back up in court now as a business necessity. Yeah. Honestly, this isn't where you're going to get sued. It's the next one. Number two. Number two is risky. Unauthorized overtime must be paid. And this can affect you even if you're under the 15. This can affect the smallest operation. It's just so convoluted, the Fair Labor Standards Act. You can have a policy, all overtime must be authorized, period. Working unauthorized overtime may lead to disciplinary action. But I can't safely tell any employee, you didn't get that overtime authorized, we're not paying it. That's a violation of the law. They can go back 3 years, double the damages for all current and former employees. You want to see thousands of lawsuits, and that's what we're seeing on wage and hour. It's unlike the discrimination law, the Fair Labor Standards Act, the law on overtime includes attorney's fees, so they're interested in this. Employers, estimates about 70% of us as employers are out of compliance with this. We haven't paid any attention to this.
So scenario, contractor, Bob's coming in, knock that wall down, we'll just track your hours, more hours you work, fine. He comes back and says 70 hours, great, the rate was $15 an hour times 70 hours. It's contract labor. Or is it an employee?
Contract labor. Whoops. Are they an independent contractor?
Well, he's bringing his own hammer and he's showing up when he wants to.
That helps. They're bringing their own tools. I just told them get it done
Yeah.
at this time frame in this quality. That's okay, but I didn't tell them how to do that.
Okay.
They have another source of income,
Other jobs.
other jobs.
Yeah.
If they're a true independent contractor, you're okay.
Okay.
And you can, that's called the 1099 classification. You can look those up, all right? And there's like 19 questions, make sure they're true independent contractors. You can't just make them an independent contractor. Microsoft had temps, permanent temporaries. I think they were writing code is what they were doing. And when the project was over, they wanted all back benefits. They really didn't want all of them. They wanted health insurance, not health insurance, stock options. And Microsoft said they're independent contractors, they're contract labor. Yeah, but you treated them just like employees and you called them perma-temps. Microsoft tried to get out, couldn't, actually wrote them out a check to get out from under. So I'm real careful of the independent contractor status.
So if you have a schedule for employees and they come early and they just keep on adding hours and nobody's watching them, what do you do?
Yeah, you got an employee that's coming in on their own, coming in early, working through lunch, staying late.
Yeah.
Just keep adding on the hours. You pay them.
You pay him straight time or overtime?
Yeah, anything over 40, state of Texas, anything over 40 is going to be time and a half.
Time and a half?
If they're salaried, does that change anything?
Salary does not get you out of overtime. That's another one of those old myths. I'll just put you on salary, and then I don't have to pay overtime. If you have a receptionist or IT help desk is non-exempt, which means they're entitled to overtime. You can put them on salary all you want. There's a threshold. If you pay them $85,000 and they work 60 hours, they'll take the $85,000, divide it into that 40 hours, and you'll pay, the 20, 25 hours worth of overtime. That IT help desk job is non-exempt of the overtime law, so they've got to get paid.
Can you tell us a little bit, can you go into maybe just not the whole 19 questions, but